Shalom. All praises to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, racha, kodash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, neighboring the word and doctrine. Shalom labachea, peace unto the elect. Now kicking this one off in wisdom, not wisdom of Solomon, Salaki. Song of Solomon 8:1 said, "Oh, that thou wert as my brother, that sucked the breasts of my mother. When I should find thee without, I would kiss thee, yea, I should not be despised." When it's going into the kissing is being greeted with the truth. Again, sucking the breasts of the mother. Or what does it say in, what's that, Proverbs 7? Proverbs 7 and... No, there's a better one. But anyway, wisdom being a family member, at least. Proverbs, in fact, I got it. Proverbs chapter 7, verse 4 and 5. Saying to wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger, which flattereth with her words. And now, what does the milk represent? Or why would you, what's that? Keep the law. Forsake not the law of thy mother. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 8. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. And that's what the milk is going into, that initial base level of teaching. I think that's Hebrews, but we'll find out. Hebrews 5. Alright, Hebrews 5 and 12. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. So this thing is, well, it says as a marriage, anyway, when you have a marriage feast, now the eating and being part of this marriage, being part of the covenant, is eating of the flesh, is eating of that bread, drinking of that wine, just drinking of that milk. There's many similitudes that are used related to food that to do with this truth. Even Yahawashi said, John 6. John 6 and, well, we can start here. John 6 and 46. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of Yahawah, he hath seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am that bread of life. So going into the eatery, and even Yahawashi was put in a manger. What is it? I think is that French? Manger. Yeah, because in Spanish it's comida. But in French, the verb to eat is manger. Manger. To deal with the eatery. Why is that? Because he's that true bread. So this is Luke chapter 2 and verse 7. It said, and she, well, let's get the context. Luke 2 and 5. To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that, while they were there, the days were accomplished, that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, or manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. I remember doing that in elementary school. You have them nativity concerts, and all of that goes back into natus, like renaissance, to do with birth. Even what's the other one? Nature, Mother Nature, natus. All right, and they'd always have that. There was no room in the inn. Well, he was put in a manger, and there's a reason for that. Luke 4 and 4. And Yahawashi answered him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of Yahawah. Every word of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi. And Yahawashi is the word of Yahawah. Revelation 19 and 13. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the word of Yahawah. And that is Yahawashi. He is that. So if man's meant to live by that, to eat that, then you have to eat that bread of life. What's the 1 Corinthians one? me turn this off. 1 Corinthians 10:1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. So even with that, who are these? Who are these Corinthians? They just happen to be a descendant of the quote-unquote mixed multitude. That's what you'd have to end up saying, or that they're actually Israelites. That all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, proving there was such thing as a baptisma in the Greek before John the Baptist. Well, that's the most common use of it. But when you go into the Septuagint as well, I believe there's one, the Kings or Chronicles, but the sort of history of the kings, or the Chronicles of the Kings, if you like, and that talks about the word baptisma. And fact check it. Fact check that this is a fact. It said, 1 Corinthians 10:2, and were all baptized unto Moses and in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Hamashiach. Proving again, he is that food. He is that meal, that good meal. Except he said, why is, well, let's get that as well. Forgive me, it's 17. Matthew 19:17, or Matthew 19:16, and behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do, that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahawah. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. So why are you calling me good? Meaning what? There's one, well, he said, there's one good, that's Yahawah. Separating the Father and the Son. Not say separating as in they weren't of one mind or they weren't of one accord. They weren't, I and my Father are one in that. But they are different entities. That's how Yahawashi, who the world calls Jesus, Yahusha, Yeshua, all of the different ones. His name's Yahawashi. And he prayed unto his Father Yahawah, who the world calls Jehovah, who the world calls God, and the various other things. However, this proves that they're a separate entity, and he is that bread of life. He is the word. He's the word of Yahawah. And when he went into this, well, what good thing that I can get eternal life? He told him to keep the commandments. And that's something that the Christians miss. Now, are we going to get saved by the works of the law or by faith? Now, that's another topic. Faith brings true works. Right, you know, even if you have works of the law, you're doing it outwardly. What did Paul say about that? This is Romans 2:28. We'll just skip to the point. For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew, which is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Yahawah. The praise not in the letter. In fact, we'll leave that. But the fact is, if you're doing it for outward appearance, now there's certain laws you have to keep to do your be inwardly a Jew. For example, a beard, or certain customs that, not customs but actual commandments that do appear outwardly. But the Pharisees that were wicked, the Pharisees, not every Pharisee was wicked. It talks about in Acts 15:5 how there's many Pharisees that believed. But the Pharisees that were wicked tended to do them works to be seen of men. And now you have to balance that again. Are you wearing fringes all day, every day, but then you forget, but then you're an adulterer? Are you a Jew inwardly or outwardly? Now, what if there's someone that doesn't wear fringes, but doesn't commit adultery? Who's more so justified? Obviously, it's up to the Lord, but it's one to ponder upon. For ones that taught the law. We know we can't keep all of it. Not in a defiled place as this. In defiled flesh as this. That's why we need Yahawashi. That's why we need this meal. This meat. M-E-E-T-M-E-A-T. Convenient meal. 1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as yet unleavened, for even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Now what is a Passover? A Passover is a meal. And now when it came to Yahawashi's Passover, that was a very solemn meal. Again, proving what? He's in the manger. Le manger. He's to be eaten in haste. As it talks about, I believe it was David who said, I made no tarrying in turning to the Lord, but I made haste, delaying not to keep thy commandments. That's obviously paraphrased. 1 Corinthians 5 and 8. Therefore let us keep the feast not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. And that's what it represents there. Again, the bitterness of the bitter herbs represents a bitterness of captivity. You can also look into Revelation 10, dealing with this truth, being that edible portion. Right, Revelation 10 and 9. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up. And it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. And is there any chronicle of that? Just on a side note, a sidebar. So the word begins to be joyous at first, isn't it? You're like, oh yeah, I'm an Israelite, this and this and this. And you have to endure affliction, endure hardness as a good soldier. 1 Timothy, I think that's 3 and 2, or 2 and 3. It's not. I know it's not 4 and 5. But either way, it gets to a point where it's no longer sweet, and not like the first sip. It begins to bitten, or become bitter, wax bitter. But that's all part of it, man. And that's enduring hardness as a good soldier, or that's an aspect thereof. Now, and to hit back in Wisdom of Solomon, that went completely different to how I'd expected, but how can a man then consider his own way? So, not Wisdom of Solomon, Salakia, Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon 8 and 1. Oh, that thou wert as my brother that sucked the breasts of my mother, so that it drinks that same milk, that same, again, going into that same meat. When I should find thee without what? Without the truth, I would kiss thee, yea, I should not be despised. Being kissing them with the truth, and should not be despised. Like Galatians 4:16. It says, am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? That's why you shouldn't be despised. But it's set up that certain ones will despise it, of the decree of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi. Song of Solomon 8 and 2. I would lead thee and bring thee into my mother's house, who would instruct me. I would cause thee to drink of spiced wine of the juice of my pomegranate. And what does that represent? It represents the truth. Being brought in again to the wine. Now it says in Revelation 6 and 6, hurt not the oil and the wine. Now Matthew 25, you have the parable, 5 wise virgins, 5 foolish, and certain of them didn't have the oil. They don't have the oil. But anyway, I will leave that there. On to the next one, Lord willing. All praises to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi. Shalom.